Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Mystics at the Grocery Store. I
Hi.
am one of your co hosts, Rosalyn. Ladies, please join in.
Hi. Hi, every. Ooh, I sound like I think this is Melinda and her frog in her throat. Good day, everyone. This is Mystic Mel. On to you, Adrienne.
I don't even know how to it's Adrienne. I don't know if I have a frog, but I definitely have a raspy morning voice.
Yes, it's early. It's one of the earliest recordings we've done. We are rising with the sun.
Hmm.
Um, and just happy to be here to return and discuss some lovely things today. As we all know, we are now in September when we're recording. I'm like, wait, what day is this? I'm pretty sure this is also going. Yes, September. This is posting in September, but that means that even in the super South Texas area, we are moving into a new season, which is very exciting. And I texted the girls yesterday when I was in line getting my not so frequent matcha latte morning matcha um, at the Starbucks. I sent them a picture because the sky, I feel like I can tell when the fall is arriving here in South Texas because the clouds kind of change and it felt a little crisp. And crisp for me down here is like, oh, I woke up and it's 85 degrees and not 95 degrees. So I'm sure a lot of people listening who are either in the northern states or in other beautiful places of the world, maybe, um, you might already be feeling the crispness setting in. How about y'all, ladies? What's feeling good and different, and how are you?
Well, I will report from the most beautiful fall seasonal place of the Massachusetts, New Hampshire area. The trees are changing color. There are bright red leaves going on, orange, shades of yellow, and still some green, but little by little, they're going to be falling from the trees, and it's very beautiful. The weather is shifted. It's in a state of, I don't know, 70s. It's going down at night into 50s sometimes. So it's definitely has that very fall vibe. All the cafes are putting out their fall
Mm-hmm.
specials, and it does feel like we're heading into cozy season over here. So it's got that nice vibe. Yeah.
Yay!
I'll just send that to you guys because I know you're both, and maybe some those of you listening may not all have that, but it is come on over to the Northeast to experience.
Beautiful. Adrienne, how about you, Miss Florida?
Yeah, I mean, there's been no crisp mornings so far. It's usually either um, muggy,
Yeah.
but comfortable, like with a breeze. There are some flowers that are like, you know what? I am not supposed to be alive for 12 months out of the year. I need to go underground. It's kind of, the whole cycle. So even though it's mostly lush and green, there are definitely some that are just like, okay, it's time for me to go back under. I'm good. And it goes dormant. Um, that we do like really early. And this is one of the reasons I love early morning swim meets because I get to have that quiet still in the darkness and it's cool at that point in time. Um, and then things slowly start to awaken. But as far as that crisp inhale that you get that just really feels like it's tingling all parts of your lungs, all parts of your respiratory. We don't get that too often. Maybe in February we'll start to get it, but um,
Same.
the things that are represented down here of fall are, I guess you have to learn to appreciate them. Like I won't see those beautiful reds, those beautiful. but
I was,
learning learning to appreciate Mother Nature and starting to just appreciate the other colors as well is another way for me.
I was also going to say your little iguana friends are probably slower to get active during the day,
Yes, yeah, they don't.
which you're probably okay with.
I'm very okay with that. Just and when they're this big, it's like wow. But then it's like no, no. I mean, because they're kind of cute when they're this big, but then it's like those things can get in anywhere. So I just don't want to get me started.
Yeah.
Not my
Well,
favorite.
Ah,
we will all just live through Melinda's beautiful
I
four
share.
season
Yes.
situation.
Yes. Let's talk when it's
Winter.
January 31st. Yeah.
It's
At
true.
least.
You can just come down and visit one of us and you can warm up down here. Well, wonderful. Well, I know. So, yes, today we'll be talking about kind of the change in seasons. We'll be talking about how, um, the cosmos are kind of changing. We just came out of eclipse season, um, and we are really just reflecting on being observant of what, Mother Earth is having to show us as we all shift and kind of what needs to fall away when we move through this season. So I don't know if we want to, have a quick reflection about, moving out of eclipse season. I know a lot of things were kind of brought to my attention to review and reflect all the shiny RE words that are ever present in eclipse season. And I do feel like, too, we're recording this after the last, more major event. But I do kind of feel a shift, like things are calming down a little bit, and I very much welcome that. What about you guys, Melinda? How did things sit with you?
It was, I've been involved in a big like preparation for this, a big production. So it's like that's been sort of the rhythm in my life, the background rhythm, which is a strong rhythm. I've been paying attention to the like astrological weather at the same time, but also grateful to have a physical practice and these meetings in preparation for this show that we were doing to like it very much grounds energy to be doing the physical practices, either even just the I'm talking about like we did a dance and circus show, and so we were practicing and rehearsing a lot of dances and a lot of aerial acts, and that really requires uh vigilance in breath and body, and to the exclusion of all else in a lot of ways, which I think is a very helpful practice when things outside of your control in both the cosmos and the world are going a little bit nuts. And there's a lot of there's instability, as just feeling of instability in the air, and on a lot of levels. And so then you really kind of go lock into, well, what can I control? How can I empower myself the best way? And really not just be a victim to uh, uh, all of the energies that are so kind of potentially chaotic, ungrounded energy. So I've been very consciously tuning into that. And so when it was that eclipse moment and new moon time, the second new moon in Virgo that we had, I was very conscious and did ritual around just empowering the the lungs, which I'll get into later. So I have a little exercise for us,
Ooh.
and the body, just to give strength to weather whatever may come. That's where I've been.
Yeah. No, I love what you bring up. And I'm thinking of all three of us. I think we all kind of have outlets of this in a way, because I'm thinking of Adrienne swimming, you doing your work. I get in the gym, I go to Pilates, and all of that is very breath body focused. Like there's a rhythm that you have to fall into to be able to do it correctly. And yeah, when you can like sit in that and let everything else kind of fall away, it's a very beautiful kind of experience that we don't get all the time because we're going about our days and our mind can be everywhere. But in those moments, it's like, nope, your mind, your body, your breath, it's all right here. So yeah, that's really neat. Adrienne, how about you? Any brief reflections on the eclipse season?
For me, yeah, that stepping away from anything overstimulating, just sitting in the quiet, letting the eclipse happen, and not trying to be all in it to to be in the experience of it. So like for instance, there's a blizzard going on. You know, there's a blizzard going on. You're not going to go out there in it. You're going to watch from the inside, let it occur. So for me, it was a great deal of watching things that triggered me, watching things that made me feel a specific way, things that made me feel disempowered, and why did it make me feel disempowered? Like really just looking at those types of things as they dropped in. And old negative self-beliefs, just, oh, where did that come from? Not dismissing them, but where did that come from? And, oh, I see. And is that true? And no, it's not. So that's compost now. It's not going to be in my backpack. I'm not carrying that crap with me right now. I'm not carrying it, period, anymore. It's over. So things like that. And then I'm noticing a lot more laughter with and at myself. Just like, can you believe you just did that? I know, I just walked into that and did it again. That kind of a thing. So just enjoying the energy, seeing the eclipse for what it really is, and being grateful that, Mother Nature and the cosmos have this wonderful system laid out for us that you can choose to either follow or not follow, but it's been working for so many centuries and it's working perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how you said that though, because I have, maybe it's a big case of FOMO or something, but whenever, and I think I might have mentioned this in previous episodes, but like whenever big astrological events are happening, sometimes I sit there and I'm like, am I doing enough? Have I done the right meditation? Should I be looking at certain journal prompts? What am I? It's kind of like, maybe chill out. Maybe just let things kind of move and see what comes up in the consciousness, and yeah, take it a little bit more easy. The events happen whether we're super involved or not. We're still experiencing the energy of it all. Lovely, lovely. Well, today, of course, we will start with our weather report from the lovely Adrienne on her quote unquote green screen in her Vanna pose, showing us all of the moving, breathing, wonderful things going on right now after that big chunk of, whoa, what's happening? So I pass it to you, Adrienne.
We need a theme song for this.
Oh my
part.
gosh, a theme song would be so fun.
Adrienne, you can come up with that.
For the weather?
For the weather, for the future, we can think of your theme song.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll get our brains working on that.
No pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure whatsoever.
It could just be those little news beeps.
Oh, I don't know.
It's a little bit high strung.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
I don't know. Maybe raindrops or something. I don't know. Anyway, I really don't know. Oceans. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe ocean waves. I don't know. I'm thinking more elemental than planetary, but it's all the same, I guess, huh?
All the same.
So, as I was looking at the weather report for the 30th to the 13th of October, what was really coming to me a lot, it was constantly, there were about pairs of things happening at the same time or very close to it. So relationship kept coming up extremely loudly as I was looking at everything. And October 6th is the first big pair thing that starts to happen. Mercury moves into Scorpio on the 6th, and then the full moon is in Aries on the 6th as well. So you've got those two pairs of things happening. And when you break down just Mercury moving into Scorpio all by itself and the aspects that it's making with, I'm trying not to move my papers too much because my microphone picks up everything, so I'll be nice and quiet and gentle with it. But the conversations that Pluto, not Pluto, but that Mercury starts to go into in Scorpio are going to be deep conversational kind of unveilings, types of investigations, things like that. It is sharpening our energy around our intelligence, and it's because it's Scorpio, that's got that emotional intelligence attached to it because it's water. It's Scorpio, deep, intense, but you've got Mercury there, and it's like really sharpening it. And there's a little bit of discomfort because sometimes we speak, we read things that affect us deeply and on an intense level, and it's part of our shadow work. So I would say beware of your triggers at that point in time. And also be ready to communicate on a deeper level, deeper intense, deeper emotional, deeper vulnerability, deeper clarity, but be ready for it on this day. So yeah, I'm going to stop there and see if you guys have anything that you want to add to that before I tell you what house it's happening in, because
I love the pairs. That just lit me up. Yeah, that's a great lens to view things. And it brings to mind what I will also be sharing, which is the pairing in Chinese medicine, which is like connected to Qigong and the practices that I do, talk about pairing organs and empowering our organs at the changing of the season. And the lung is paired with the large intestine. So that's just my little teaser about like how those operate together and to help empower us. But I love the fact that, well, I love a deep conversation. So like now we get astrological validation to be scorpionic in our conversation. I'll take it. Here we are, diving deep, and I can't wait to hear more from the Scorpio queen, Adrienne, on Scorpio. So, I love that. So, yeah, that's just what comes to mind, like the pairing, because also yin and yang. Like, I think looking at things in, these kinds of paired ways are very illuminating and help kind of bring us into balance.
Yeah, definitely. When she brought up the pairing, I immediately thought, well, that makes sense because we're going into Libra. So we've got our scales, we've got our relational kind of energy. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, even just with what you shared so far, Adrienne, it's kind of like, well, okay, let's just be mindful about how deep we can go then when we're communicating and maybe that's just being very reflective on our own personal comfort level of how deep. Like maybe that's like, oh, I could go deeper, but maybe I shouldn't. Or, just being very mindful of the potential depth of things relating together.
Point. That's a really good point.
That is a fabulous point because I'm highlighting exactly those things that you've been hitting on. Like Mercury in Scorpio saying, let's have deep conversations, deep reflections. And it's coming into this sign in our 10th house, which is about our career. So it's about significant relationships, okay? And because it's so mentally intense, it's saying, be careful about the passive aggressiveness because you can go deep, but are you using it or are you working with it, kind of a thing? It's also having this beautiful conversation with Pluto and Aquarius. And Pluto and Aquarius is in the first house, so it's squaring it. So they're having that conversation where Pluto is saying, see yourself differently. Now speak yourself in a different way. And then Pluto and Mercury, Pluto rules Pluto and Mercury, Pluto in Scorpio, Pluto rules Scorpio. So again, you have that ability to go so intense, so deep that you can have that passive aggressiveness start coming through again. So just be careful about that. So then who comes along to help you with this scenario, right? So who? Uranus is like, hey, I got something to say to you. We're saying it the same way because it's in a quincunx. However, what if it's said this way? And it's coming in on the 5th. It's going to be in the 5th house. So Uranus is saying you got these beautiful, bright ideas based on these reflections that you've gotten while you've been experiencing your conversations with Pluto and developing like this very unique way that you express yourself. Caution again, how you bring them forward. Passive aggressive or just a suggestion and let somebody chew on it for a little bit. And then it's also in a quincunx with Neptune in the 3rd house in Aries. And Aries is like, and Neptune is kind of like, hey, we're chilling out. Think of that Cheech and Chong kind of a thing. I'm not saying that Neptune is high all the time. What I'm saying is it's in that very dreamy, foggy state. So with Aries coupled with it, it's saying, okay, Aries, I know we want to get going. I know we want to just get there, but let's let the fog lift a little bit more before we start taking action. So again, if you're listening to what Aries and Neptune are saying, they're saying, yes, we're going to take action. Let it settle so that passive aggressive stuff doesn't start to incorporate in, which everybody else is talking about at the same time. Okay. So, and that's just like one little conversation that's going on. And then you've got that full moon that's illuminating, occurring on the same day. And it's going to be illuminating what everybody's talking about, the conversations that everybody's talking about. And when you have a full moon, the sun and the moon are in opposition with each other. And what's amazing about this, they're not having any conversations with anybody else on this day. They're just looking dreamily into each other's eyes and just taking their forces and just illuminating this conversation, these conversations that Mercury and Scorpio are putting through. And they're just like, let's just really illuminate them. Let's just really get some clarity from this. And the gift is that you can get clarity from it. You either keep your eyes closed because it's just too bright. You could just slightly open and open and open and see. And don't be afraid to be vulnerable. And if at some stage it's just vulnerability with yourself to admit your truth, to go ahead and laugh at yourself, to go ahead and make a change so these triggers don't occur, then that's an illumination as well.
Sounds like a really good time to be in observation.
Mm-hmm.
And even before one speaks, to be mindful. I love the the peace that I felt when you were talking about the sun and the moon, just kind of being just in conversation with only each other while everything else is going on. It's just, but it had a sense of, I don't know, just this sort of timelessness moment, time out of time, where we just take that pause and let our sun, you know, greet our moon, which is to say, like, take the pause and feel into yourself before you pick up on all those other signals that Adrienne just described, which is a lot of energy. And I don't know what quincux means, but it's a great word. Could you say that word again?
Quincux.
Quincux.
Quincux. So basically, you've got two people in a conversation and they're saying the exact same thing. They're just saying it differently and they're not seeing it quite eye to eye. So there's the way, even the way that the symbol is shaped, it looks like, if you can imagine a picnic table with the legs going out this way. So we all want the same thing, but we're saying it a little bit differently. So that conversation just kind of, you have the choice of either shutting down and being like, no, it's not the way I see it. That's not, I choose not to. Or you can be like, huh, that kind of expands the way I'm viewing something. So interesting. So you can take it that way.
I like that.
Yeah, that's really neat. What I was really thinking about when you were explaining everything, hopefully, as we've come out of eclipse season with more reflection and like illumination of ourselves, we should be able to ideally walk into these kinds of deeper conversation, deeper moments with more awareness, like personal awareness, as you were saying, like before the passive aggressive sets in. Hopefully we can have new tools in the toolbox that are like, hold on, you know, we've learned about this. Let's take a minute, let's take a pause before we proceed forward with whatever might be happening. But the other thing that was just coming to mind, which was kind of making me giggle, was like, if it's not always about communication, because it really is, this is definitely a time about like reflective communication and being really mindful as we're like moving into such a time with so much interaction, not only with ourselves, but with everyone around us in communication, especially if we're all trying to say the same thing, but we're just doing it a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're seeing a lot of things right now in the world where, you know, if only we could take the pauses and say, hold on, are we actually after the same goal? Maybe we can approach this in a different way. Yeah, that's really interesting. It feels like a lot, but at the same time, like it's all working together.
Yeah, it's looking for that harmony, that balance. And then that also plays into what else is occurring, going on in the skies as well. Because that full moon, that opposition is occurring at the 10th house, which is career, and the 4th house, which is home and family. So again, you know, you want a clear, active career, but how fair is it going to be to your family? Those kind of conversations could be coming up as well. But for sure, with that, what was coming to me with that full moon just illuminating everything, what's starting to make you boil? And then what is your action going to be once it starts to boil? Are you going to turn it up and really focus on what's triggering you? Or are you going to take that flame and just bring it down a little bit and be like, okay, what can I do so that this doesn't trigger me? Or how can I step into whatever this person said that may trigger kind of topics as well? And when I was doing my meditation on this, I wrote the stings that make you step into courage. I was like, what? Okay. Okay. So, you know, just little things like that we could just take and just kind of look at it just a little bit differently. See maybe the other side of it, not giving permission to the other side, not saying that you were wrong, they were right, but just kind of flip the switch and kind of look at it just a little bit differently. Um, and even like the relationship between the two things is coming up too. Just looking at that and what started it. For me, this is what's been coming up because of most likely what I was doing with my eclipse season. So um, that was coming up very loudly. And then on the 12th or 13th, depending on where you are, Pluto goes direct. And it will be direct until May 2026. And um, it's starting to go direct in the eighth house in his castle. It's like it's in his castle. It's domiciled there, rules that eighth house. And it's asking you what transformations are serving you, what partnerships are serving you. And then if they're not serving you, either choose to alchemize this and transmute them or to live with them the way they are. They're ripping off the bandage. They really, really are. Pluto's a professor, so he's going to set up that syllabus for you, and then it's up to you to figure out how to wade through the syllabus. You have the help of Saturn and Jupiter to wade through, but still, Pluto is like, here's the information. Go learn it. And it's coming into some really intense conversations. And I don't want to scare anybody, but they're intense. So for me, the way to handle a really intense cosmic shifts or intense situations is for me to do some type of meditation. And it can look any way for anybody. It could be journaling, it could be walking, it could be brushing your teeth, all these things where you're just being present in that moment is a type of meditation. But the conversations that Pluto is having, as soon as it goes direct, it's going into a sextile with Neptune. Sextile means that they're together, they're helping each other, just like this. Okay, so, and then it's going into a trine with Uranus and a trine with Venus. And that trine, those two trines that it's making, again, a trine is something that's going to help. It's something that's going to support you through. So Venus being in her domicile, because she's going to be going into Libra, but she's right now in Mercury. She's very comfortable here. And I can just see her just like walking through this new classroom that she's going to be entering. And without any effort at all, just slightly making changes and flowers blooming as her robe walks over into the classroom, and things are just being nourished without any effort, just in her presence, just harmonizing things in such a beautiful, I can't think of the word, like she's not doing anything, just her presence is creating this feeling, this harmony. And it's not wasteful. She's at this point in her Mercury mindset where she knows what's going to be she knows what's going to be beneficial, and she's efficient with it. But she's not worried about this is fine, this. It's just like, yeah, we got this. Us just being here makes it and brings it into a very harmonious energy. And then again, when you have Uranus in a trine and it's in retrograde in Gemini, I started to think about and review the types of conversations that it's having, the types of innovations that are occurring. How can I use these innovations and new technological things to help me be more elegant and beautiful and not stressed with how's it going to look, what's it going to look like. It's going to look just perfect. So those conversations are going on the 13th. I'm going to stop there before I talk to you a little bit more about Venus.
No, that was so much.
She's definitely the model I want to embody
Yeah.
from all of what you've said. Like, that really gave me a sense of a way through this, because this intensity you're describing, it's real, and we have to be able to walk through it all gracefully, graciously. And as you were talking, I was like thinking about my, the cozy aspects of fall that come in to help us with all of that, like energy. So it's sort of, at least in this hemisphere, it seems like a great pairing to have, like, okay, there's all of that going on in the astrologically, but then we have our cozy chai latte, our our matchas and our cozy sweaters and all the things that comfort us through all of that, because and also just like the sense of, don't get caught up in everything. There's a lot going on in the sky, in the world. Again, simplify. And as Adrienne just said, with those beautiful words of efficiency, and you also used another word of like being beneficial. And that's that, bene, that comes from the Latin, being of good, service. Like, and the intention is to serve the highest and best good for yourself and those who surround you. And that's what she's doing, as walking in through those classrooms with her beautiful gown that Adrienne described, with the flowers blooming as she steps through thresholds and is just in her elegance and peace. Yeah.
I
Beautiful.
definitely picked up the same things of like, ooh, this is a lot of transformation, deep. And then it was like a breath of fresh air of like, oh, but Venus will help. Venus will help support us as we, yeah, kind of venture through all the, and maybe not external changes, maybe it's more internal, but all the potential for shift with Pluto going direct, that feels very like we've been reflecting on all the things that may need to fall away as we move into this new season. And now it sounds like with Pluto going direct, it's like, okay, now it's going to start happening. And yeah, like you said, Melinda, how can we walk through it gracefully and just be, yeah, not rush, not worried, not trying to cut away in any type of like rough or I don't know. And also maybe not making like assumptions of like, I think this is the thing I need to rush and like, take this forcefully out of my life. No, maybe it's more gracefully done. Maybe it's more gently done. And I mean, when we think about the seasons, it's not like our seasons shift overnight and we're immediately, all the leaves fall off the trees, everything's bare. And like it's a gradual, slow, gentle process. And if we can emulate that, I think that's a huge lesson from Mother Earth of patience, gentleness, ease, slowness, and appreciate the green that still hangs on the plants and trees and, that will at some point in the winter fall. But yeah, be gentle for sure.
It's interesting that you say it that way, because what was coming through for me was that there's intention there, but the intention is not forced. It's just believed to be like part of the divineness of that Venetian energy. And although when it enters into the scene, it is in an opposition with Saturn. I feel like the Saturn in retrograde is actually saying, let's rethink and reflect on what makes us feel grounded. And it's giving that extra amount of concreteness to Venus just walking through. Maybe it's that extra concreteness of her courage, of her elegance. Like she really is the shit. I'm sorry. That's just all there is to it. And then I feel like that is what Saturn is kind of like saying, like, I'm letting my groundwork go. It's good. Um, but again, on this same day, Pluto said, okay, here she comes, guys. Here's I'm the professor. Here's your work. And then they enter, the personal planet's coming through and she's going to talk to you guys, but be ready. We're just coming through this major shine that you guys have seen. And Venus enters and immediately goes into an air trine. And it's a grand air trine because everything that she's matching up to in a trine, it's an air, and then there's an air, and then they're actually trining each other as well. So all three are trining each other. And so do we need more air when we've got Neptune that's making us all foggy? We could potentially, because that air could be taking away any dust that hasn't settled right now. Or maybe it's smoothing out that dust. So it's not just all in front of your eyes, but it's like laying around you, almost like, I don't know why this is coming to me, frosting a cake. You take and you frost it and you spread all the way over so that it makes a beautiful, presentation. So she's happy when she goes into Libra. She's like, this is my place. This is my place. This is my castle. And it's about balancing beauty, balancing elegance, balance and grace, just allowing yourself to be part of. It's not an action that you have to do. It is what you are. And you think of it that way. She does come into an opposition with Neptune and Aries. And I feel like when that conversation is going on, Neptune is saying these illusions that you have of yourself, that you're not all that you are, that Pluto in Aquarius is telling you that you become, those new words, those new relationships that you're having. Now it's time to really start talking about them like you own them, like you are part of them. We talk about Reiki and we practice Reiki. We are Reiki, being. I wrote down a lot of other notes and we kind of really talked about it, but, also reviewing what you think love and harmony is, what you think grace is, and what you used to think it was. So kind of looking at like, I used to think this was peaceful, but now I'm kind of thinking that this is peaceful. And it's just a reflection of where you are in your journey. Like this is all about evolution and you're constantly evolving. We're going to come back to this again next year, but how does it hit you next year? How does it sound to you next year? All these Venusian themes, what does bring you joy, and then with it being an air trine and Uranus being part of that air trine and Neptune being part of that air trine, you've got those other professors. Pluto's already escorted her in. Made the room, and here comes Uranus on one side, Neptune on the other, the professors escorting this personal planet that we have in to really get us to start seeing, start acknowledging who we really are, what we really are, what we really contribute, how we contribute it. Are our needs being met? Are we meeting the needs of somebody else? Do we care that we're not meeting those needs? Because don't forget, Pluto and Scorpio are still, in the conversation. Do we care? Because, maybe that's just one of those things that we cut off and not really part of us anymore. Appreciate you. Sorry. Or appreciate you, but you're not part of my compost. I see what you do. I acknowledge what you do. But it doesn't align with what I do. It doesn't align with what I am. It doesn't align with what I want to continue to be. 6 degrees of separation, that whole 9 yards. Lots of relational things coming into conversation, some really seismic breakthroughs. One of my mentors actually used the word seismic, and I was like, oh my God, that's just a really explains it all, because you could think of it as a trine, a wedding procession or something, and it's a very ritual procession where Pluto is making sure everything's right, in a unique way because it's in Aquarius. And then you've got the two other professors continuing to escort you through this portal, through this threshold. It can be a really beautiful time, but it is going to do some shaking. What's coming to me is like that snow globe. You can't really see everything just yet, but your patience, you let it settle, you see the beauty, you see the grace, you realize that you were part of it. You did the little shakeup, you were part of the shakeup, and you just can still benefit from seeing the beauty in everything. Yeah, that's what I got for this part of our 2 week weather forecast. Like it's going to be a little bit foggy. It's going to be a little bit dreamy, settle, enjoy it, be with it, see it, journal, meditate, take notes, really look and see where you are in your relationships, your relationship with yourself, so super important. And have you grown with it? Are you kicking and screaming through this growth? The growth, it's going to happen. What makes it painful is when you kick and scream through it. Growth happens. It can be painful, but it happens. If you kick and scream, it's going to be more painful.
Yeah, definitely. Any thoughts, Melinda?
Well, it sounds like a time to not force clarity, like to not force, well, as you said, to not force anything, but that there is, it does sound like I'm feeling into the themes of like the way that fire meets different forms of water, as you started with. And like the Aries and the misty Neptune, that can be like thing you feel this impulse to do, but it's confused potentially. So how to balance out that and then to knowing the cosmic weather kind of helps to go, oh, wait a minute, maybe is that Aries meeting Neptune or should I? Yeah. So I should take a moment again. But yeah, when fire and, how does that happen? Like the hot pan and that's, you put the water on it to check what's the sizzle, or is it a slow burn? Is it a slow burn?
Cooper
There's
says, slow burn.
wisdom from the pups. I think we need that. So yeah, that I'm just noticing that this sounds like we're wading through we're wading through and these waters, these mists, and just sort of kind of have to go inward to find our clarity, not try to look out because it could be confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, I
How about
think
you,
the
Rosalyn?
inward is really important because when we get overwhelmed by all the external transformation, if we can find our, inner peace, inner shelter, inner like, hey, I'm okay. I know I'm okay. I know that the things that I've learned through what was illuminated in the summer and now is, being transformed and shifting how I view and taking, that Venus led mindset of, okay, I'm going to be gentle with this. I'm going to let this come through in the way that it wants to. And I don't know, I think when we just sit back and say like, how can I be fascinated by this? What about this is magical and cosmic and, what an experience and opportunity we have on Earth to figure out who we are as humans. And, we are complex. And obviously the themes that Adrienne was talking about with Neptune and Pluto and like all the very deep and dreamy and foggy and wow, that's all in us, as well as the Aries action and drive. And like, we're just so multifaceted and it's fascinating and it should be fun to experience, even though sometimes it doesn't always feel fun. But hopefully we can shift that and it might. But yeah, I think this just relates so much to the seasonality of what's happening and as we shift and yeah, we're moving into more of the dark days, and that's kind of that whole Neptune dreamy fogginess too, and things are transforming with Pluto, and the seasons are transforming, and so yeah, it's just all very hand in hand. And I think most importantly that I will take away is the idea of Venus in her gentleness, but in her like divine feminine confidence. I can imagine her seeing things that will be falling from the trees and just appreciating it and looking at the beauty of what hangs on and what still has that life-giving essence to it to stay attached and what doesn't, and just being very loving with both. And I think that's like a huge lesson as we move into autumn and fall and see everything change. So thank you, Adrienne. That was just a plethora of amazing information, and yeah, how neat. And I'm sure a lot of people are just cheering that eclipse season is over. Miss Melinda, I know you mentioned you have a little something for us. Do you want to jump into that now?
Yeah, I think given the cosmic energies with what feels like a lot of waters, mists, fire, and air trine, I was sensing a real need for like earth element. And that is where these kinds of practices of empowering the body through different energetic practices or even just physical activity really helps us through all of the other things that are going on. And, as you know, one of my favorite practices is doing Qigong, which is a ancient Chinese uh, practice that is basically means it's the cultivation of energy within you. And it's the connection of you to heaven, to earth, and then your heart is the great transformer, the great alchemist, even in that system. And that in this time right now, the fall, we've gone from summer, which is considered a yang energy, like there's a lot of growth, there's a lot of action. We go into this yin, receptive, inward energy for fall and winter. And so in Chinese medicine, they consider that this is a time to empower the lungs to help fight illness, to boost our immunity. And also the lungs hold or can hold a lot of grief and sadness and different emotional energy that with various breathing practices it can help release the sadness. Oh, and that it's just sort of like they consider fall to be a time of potential sadness. And I think we need to like have ways to acknowledge that and like help release and empower and bring courage in and release sadness and bring in courage and release grief and bring in bravery and release loneliness. And so that's the practice that I want to um, kind of. There's a couple of practices I would propose for us to empower our lungs And just if you think anatomically, I mean, the lungs are like the angel wings of the heart. You know, we generally are not in the practice unless we're doing some, our breath work and mindfully of like really going into the deepest and most open part of lungs where things are stored. So taking a really nice deep breath is not something that we're doing, all the time throughout the day. But if we just take like even a minute chunks to do just like some breathing exercises, and nobody has to know wherever you are, it's really going to help you release, like the trees are releasing the leaves. We can release stuff that's held in the body that even your mind hasn't realized you're holding. Your body knows. So one of the breathing practices is called coherent breathing. And basically the coherent breathing is not like it's not like Wim Hof breathing, or like where we're like, it's not hard. It's just you take an inhale, say for a nice slow 4 seconds, and then you exhale for the same slow 4. I don't even want to say seconds, but just the same inhale number rhythm as the exhale. And this really harmonizes your body and the space around you. And it's recommended to be like, if you can do that for even 5 minutes a day. And I have some free apps that I recommend, and that we can post in the show notes for this to help support that. And I think that's going to help us be more like Venus going through this season. So if you guys are up for it, we're going to try it for like a few rounds.
Yeah.
And everybody can do it. Even if you're driving, open your eyes and you're still driving, but it's just very gentle. So you're just sitting and your eyes are open or closed, and you just kind of feel into your body. And I don't like to rush into breathing practices and be like, okay, let's start. So we're just right.
Breathe it out.
No.
just like, let's, acclimate. The mind is going, okay, we're gonna try this breathing practices. And you're gonna start to just notice, how do you breathe? Can you take a nice deep breath into the base of your lungs where the highest density of blood vessels are? Slowly, and allow the air to flow just naturally. Exhale. You're just guiding, but you're not forcing. So we're just taking nice deep breaths in. And with every exhale, relaxing your face and your neck muscles, your jaw, and the rest of your body. Feeling down even into your hips and the pelvic floor, relaxing. And I'm going to have us start with an inhale to the count of 5. Here we go. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale slowly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale slowly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last set. Inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just continue to breathe. This is coherent breathing for the fall season. It opens the lungs. It reduces stress. It balances our nervous system. It controls our rest and digest versus fight and flight response. And there's an app that's called the Breathing app, which has a free uh, offering as well as some paid stuff if you want to get deeper. It's it's very simple, which I love simple, and it has like a like this ball that expands with the inhale and then gets smaller with the exhale, and you follow the ball and you can set it, or like a sphere, and you can set it to different settings of like how, what's the rate, what is the effect that you need right now, and it has a little, it was developed by a yogi, Eddie Stern, and other people in his team. And then Moby, the artist, the musician Moby, is a friend of Eddie Stern's, and he developed this very cool like sound. So if you didn't want to look at the sphere, there's a sound that plays, but it's really, really like relaxing and puts you into like a beautiful state. It's really interesting to try out. So I recommend it. And there's also uh, my Qigong teacher, Robert Peng, has an offering called Ocean Whispers. And it's this nature sound of ocean with the ebb and flow of the tide to harmonize your body and the space around you, even because it's like it's for the whole space. It's not just for your body, it's for your whole environment if you put it on. And so he has a YouTube of that sound. And if you breathe to it, it has a beautiful calming effect. So I think, that's my body empowerment exercise concept for helping us walk through the seasonal shift. And again, and when you breathe in, as I said earlier, you can think, I'm breathing in courage, I'm exhaling sorrow. And it's normal in this time to feel sorrowful. It's normal at any time to allow sorrow to pass through. Breathing really can help you with that. Because I found myself recently being, I mean, there's many reasons, we can think of to be sad. But then, there's personal and communal reasons, and it's happening. But this really helps process that. We're not repressing it. It's there. It's normal to be sad and to cry. I mean, when, it's healthy to cry, even though it might feel like a loss of control for some people. Like, trust, you do the breathing app, allow the tears, and then you'll get back on track. It's part of the process. And yeah, because the other day, I was really sad at the passing of Robert Redford. I was like, what? No. I mean, every day, of course, we're losing wonderful people, always close to us or in our public sphere life who we've connected to energetically somehow. And it was just, and I let myself cry and send him love and thanks for his life, and his art and his creations. And I do that with various people when they pass. But I always want to come back to the breath and just knowing that it is the lungs that hold grief, and sadness, and doing simple things like these breathing exercises help us. Yeah.
Definitely. No, I think it's so important. And I think when people first kind of gain interest in like spirituality and yoga and meditation and Reiki, and they're like, where do I even start? It's like, it can be as simple as doing breathing meditations. And so I'm so glad that you shared that app, because I think a lot of people are like, but what do I do? How do I breathe? So that's great. We'll definitely include that in the notes. But yeah, I love what you said about the tears, and emotions need to move if we want to process them. And so let them move on the breath, let them be, carried. And I don't know about y'all, but after a good cry, I do usually feel a lot better. So I think there's definitely some benefit to allowing the release, and giving it a pace or a pattern with your breathing is also really beneficial too. Yeah, that's all wonderful. Thank you for all those lovely resources. Wonderful. Adrienne, any breathing thoughts or ideas or?
Oh yeah, for me, breathing is just so super important. For me, it's about movement and versus stagnantness, and it's also how you set your mind. I mean, you could, that kind of breathing, and what is that doing to your nervous system? And by the way, Uranus is over the nervous system, but excuse me, when I'm coaching my swimmers or teaching somebody how to swim, I'm actually looking at those little signs that they give with their breath. If it's somebody that's just learning how to swim, how are they getting to the wall? Okay, we're okay to touch the wall that way, but let's just change the way you're breathing a little bit. So it's not like, oh my God, I'm finally here. It's more of a, I'm here kind of a thing. And even when I'm coaching breathing and how to breathe efficiently so that you can continue to power through the water. Again, it's about that and first gasp of air after you've exhausted everything out, is it a or is it a, and then you go back into it. So breathing, I love the topic of breathing, and just the benefits of it, and how sensing that air going in through your nose passages and down into your lungs, and just really enjoying it. And maybe what I was doing is I was kind of envisioning, once I had that air at the bottom, just kind of like muffling stuff up, getting stuff to stir up a little bit, and letting anything come out that needed to come out.
Yeah, that's an awesome visual. I was also thinking sometimes when I am doing self Reiki and I don't want to make it anything complicated, my inhale, I always think Ray, and my exhale, I think Ki. And so I just like send that energy like on the inhale and exhale. And that's like my whole practice. If I don't even want to use symbols or, think of anything super particular, it's just like on the breath, Reiki.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's helped me not overthink some practices. Keep it simple and gentle. Yeah, I think that's wonderful. And yeah, definitely anyone listening, if you try any of this out, either the apps or just the breathing technique that we went through today, let us know how it sits with you and how you kind of find any type of benefit from it, or if you have any questions, we are happy to answer. But yeah, I know I'm like a broken record, but like we're already close to an hour in, and I feel like we could keep talking about all of this. So I just want to, I don't know. I want to make sure that everyone takes away, as we gracefully travel into autumn and fall. Yes, it might be the days are getting darker. Yes, it might be that, some difficult things are being seen to be let go, or, just challenges and whatever might be falling away. I don't want us to negate the things that we have harvested, because that's kind of like we spend the summer and spring seasons planting and growing and letting things come to fruition. And just because we're moving into fall, we're not losing all of those beautiful, wonderful things. And a lot of them we're taking with us, and they will nourish us as we move forward. So that's one thing that I definitely want to make sure is like, hey, you've put in the work, and you're preparing your harvest, and that's a beautiful thing. And don't forget about the growth that you've had in these past couple of seasons. Um, yeah, I think I would hope that people can find some excitement as we move into autumn and fall. And I don't know, like Melinda said, I get excited for the coziness. There's a lot of beautiful things that come with this transition. So, any closing thoughts, ladies?
I was giggling because you said harvest, and I was like, that's one of the things I had just written down. It's like, really look at what you have harvest. And when you're, the darkness of it actually provides you a bit of covering, a bit of, I don't know, just like some comfort to be a little bit more vulnerable with yourself. You've got that darkness. You can really go in and see. If you don't think of darkness as something scary, but more of an opportunity to be, I don't know, comfortable in your true self, comfortable in your true skin. I mean, think about it. We have sex, most of us turn lights out, right? Because we're going to be freaky or whatever. You just want to be comfortable. Melinda just went off the woo. But you want to be like in
You
a
just woke
comfort
me up.
stage. And if you could think about the darkness as also, we choose to, some of us, not all of us, sleep at nighttime because we have these types of jobs. But again, even if you have that overnight job, usually you have darkening windows, something coverings to help you keep in that darkness where you can be in a restful state. You can come into your vulnerability to be in a restful state. So if you can look at that darkness as not so much a foe, but maybe a cozy, like when it starts to turn dark here and it's like a rain that's coming through and it's an overcast, just that feeling of just like, oh, I just want to get cozy under a blanket with a book, that starts to come through for me. So yeah, like maybe just look at darkness a little bit differently. Like look at the things that we do in the dark that make us feel better, whether it's resting, sex, whatever it is that you want to choose. But think of things that way. So when we meditate, our eyes are closed. We bring ourselves into darkness.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking too, the darker skies, it's like we can be, our attention can be drawn to the different directions that light can come from of the different stars and planets. And it's not just the blaring sun. We have options for smaller, kind of, more unique things to come to our awareness. Melinda, what about you?
Yeah. Well, the visual that came to me was just we have permission to go into or start to prepare our cozy cave with all the soft fabrics and all of the nourishing, warm foods, sweet potatoes, I don't know, turnips, parsnip, baked vegetables, and
Pieces.
it's all those warming spices that we know about, and yeah, we get to go inward. And it just came, and this is probably for the next episode, but like, the time, at least in this again hemisphere, where we have like the Halloween time concepts, which is interesting in the sense that everybody's thinking about what costume, how they're shape shifting, what shape shift do they want to be? But it's like an outward expression of like the transformation that can happen at this time, as we kind of go inward, again, the nourishing our inner world, stabilizing ourselves. And then when we kind of crawl out of the cave blinking, towards spring, all like naked and new, you know, it's a whole new possible life we could have, depending on how we approach our little cave environment now. So, it's perfect. Cozy sweaters, nurturing nutmegs, and
And spice lattes.
yeah, all of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm ready for some coziness. I'm ready to, well, in a very literal sense, I'm ready to not be so hot anymore. But yeah, I think there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot to be aware of and not scared of or worried about. But yeah, I think there's a lot coming that's going to come through, and I think it'll be really interesting. And I think as long as we sit in this gentle awareness of, oh, whatever comes up, that's interesting. Do I want to keep that? Do I want to let it go? All of those fun moments that we can have evaluating all of that. So we are going to sign off. So thank you all again for being here and for listening. And make sure to follow us on Instagram, Mystics at the Grocery Store, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And yes, we have some fun opportunities for interesting topics coming up. But if there's anything that you all are particularly interested in, reach out, let us know. We would love to add those to our topics. And yeah, just happy transitional fall season, and let us know what your favorite fall drink is in the comments, and just how are you preparing and what are you looking forward to. And yeah, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.
Yeah, be interested
Bye,
to know.
everybody.
All right, see you next time.
Bye bye.
Ciao.
Bye.